Public outrage grows as minority groups call for the arrest of directors of Lamens Ventures over alleged distribution of expired rice to secondary schools. All right, so we actually have an article on it, ChannelOneNews.com here. Arrest directors of Lamens over distribution of expired rice to SHSs, and that's by the minority. The minority in Parliament has called for the arrest and prosecution of the directors of Lamens Investment Africa Limited and sanctions against the Board of Management of the National Food Buffer Stock Company, NAFCO, over allegations of distributing expired rice to senior high schools across Ghana. The demand follows claims by the Member of Parliament of Notong, Samuel Okujetu Ablakwa, that the two entities conspired to distribute 22,000 bags of expired and repackaged rice to senior high schools. Ablakwa further alleged that despite Lamens Ventures being flagged by the Auditor General in 2021 for supplying unwholesome food items, the government failed to act. Addressing the media on Monday, November 18, 2024, the minority expressed outrage over the matter. I quote, "The NDC caucus also demands the immediate arrest and prosecution of the directors of Lamens Investment Africa Limited, the board and management of the National Food Buffer Stock Company must be sanctioned for allowing their storage facility to be used for the outrageous Act and for operating unregistered storage facilities across the country. Such recklessness, which sacrifices the health of our students for corrupt transactions, must not go unpunished," the minority stated. The caucus also called for a comprehensive probe into the Ministry of Education's role in the scandal, particularly accusations that ministry officials pressured the Food and Drug Authority to drop investigations into the issue. Additionally, the minority urged key stakeholders, including the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools, teacher unions and parent-teacher associations to advocate against the supply of criminally repackaged and expired food items to schools. The Ministry of Education must be probed for its conduct in the despicable affair, not only for supervising the rot which severely endangers the health of SHS students, but also for their reported role as alleged by FDA officials that they piled undue pressure to get the FDA to back off. CHAS, teacher unions, PTAs, and all Ghanaians must insist no senior high school should ever again be made to receive food items which have been criminally repackaged and do not have expiry dates. Our side in respective parliamentary committees has agreed to initiate inquiries into the atrocious affair, and we shall not rest until justice is done in the matter. Our SHS students must never be subjected to the unwarranted callousness and heartlessness just because an unscrupulous few seeks to enrich themselves, the minority caucus states. This is actually a very serious issue. And Oje, what are your thoughts on, the minority demanding the arrest of the directors over the alleged expiry? And do you think that there's enough evidence to back these claims actually?
Well, on the face of it, and then having heard from the Ministry of Education through its spokesperson, Kwesi Kwarteng, and all that, it seems to me that there is some traceable occurrences that led us to this very particular situation, and so you would want to hear from the ministry, because the ministry says it's going to investigate. After it came, after Okujetu brought it out, and then it became public, the ministry said they were going to investigate. Prior to they coming out with their investigations, they issued a statement about what they know, the facts according to them, what they know, and all that. And reading through the facts and going through the thin lines, it looks like there's an issue there's an issue that needs to be tackled.
Yeah.
I asked myself 2 questions. First of all, were the goods expired?
Yeah.
And the answer is yes. Because every good, when it's being put on the market, has its, so when you take this and you see BB, best before and all that, there are scientific explanations to it. But the time you see there is a time indicated to you that prior to this time, it is wholesome. But before this, after this time, we consider it not too wholesome. When we were in secondary school, we had our own theory, conspiracy theory about it. So, for instance, the canned foods, we ourselves will tell ourselves that when you see the expiry date, it's 3 months after it that is expired, so true. You can still consume. Now, the second question is that were the necessary protocols followed before redistribution? Reading from Kwesi Kwarteng from his explanation, he says that yes, the goods actually had the expiry date of December 2023, but they went to the FDA for the FDA to certify the goods as wholesome before it was distributed. That is what he's saying, before it was distributed. So then the protocols were followed, because everything about food and drugs normally would go to the FDA, and then the FDA would have to certify. In fact, in some instances, they go to the market themselves to round up such goods, and then they will do the necessary testing and all that. So yes, FDA, from what he's saying, FDA came through and then said that, look, the goods it's wholesome, so you can do that. My next question is that, was it necessary? What at all was the urgency in distributing these goods to the students? Couldn't we have gone for another option than repackaging it? And the repackaging bit is also even problematic.
Right.
Now,
because that means you're trying to hide something.
Yes, but the same is quoting the Ministry of Education. So he says that, look, they charge the first time this thing came to their notice, I think they fined the company involved. But he said they didn't fine them. The fine was not for the fact that the goods were unwholesome, but rather for repackaging without seeking approval from the FDA. Now this brings me to the conflict here in his statement. First, you say FDA approved. That is why it was repackaged. Now, if
FDA said it was wholesome,
if FDA says it was wholesome, which I believe so, because FDA, they have the capacity to do that. If it was not wholesome, they wouldn't. Okay, so granted, FDA says it's wholesome. So it means that after FDA's participation in this, that is how come the things were repackaged. How then do you go back and charge the person for repackaging without going to the FDA? It becomes a little bit conflicting. Is it the fact that the testing was after the facts? That is, after it has been brought to their notice that this is what has happened. Say quickly, let's let FDA test it. By which time people may have consumed it already. And then, so FDA tested. So now you see the conflict we are presented with. But all this aside, I'm asking myself, with all these negative stories around the especially food consumption by students in SHS, was it necessary to even engage in this? 22,000 bags.
That's a lot.
That's 22,000 bags, and we find out that this thing has expiry date. Well, in my opinion, the testing and everything should have gone ahead before the repackaging. And then when it is repackaged, because when the FDA tested it, they didn't give, I believe, they won't give an unlimited timeline for its wholesomeness. In the first instance, when this story broke, the Lamens themselves issued a statement, and they said their statement went to the effect that actually when they went to FDA extended the lifespan of the thing for a year, which is okay, because they have the equipment to test it, so that is within their domain, so you won't challenge that. So once you repackage it, what prevented you from stapling on the repackaged bag that this is it, that by this time? Because you see, some of these schools, maybe you take it for granted that, okay, when they get it, they will just consume it and then it gets done. But you see, because of the difficulties in procurement and getting things from the buffer stock, they also run a schedule where they are able to pull through small for the students.
Manage,
so probably there will be a place that they are keeping it. What if FDA extended it for, let's say, okay, it's a year. This thing was supposed to be 2023, December. Now we are getting close to December. What if some of the schools still have that kind, that kind of rice there? What if then it goes beyond December? Are we going back to FDA again?
Exactly.
Because I don't think FDA will give that kind of unlimited time that, okay, so it's wholesome, so just go and do it. You see, people must take responsibility for their actions. Sometimes there are things we take for granted. And you see, this is food. This is food. So you have to be very careful because you are going to feed people, innocent people. So you have to be very careful. And that is where my question comes in. What was the urgency in trying to repackage it for the students? What was the urgency? Couldn't we have waited for every clearance to have gone through, and then when we present it to the school authorities as this is the fact, this thing that we are giving you, you have this number of months to finish it. If you don't, then it will expire because we've already gone beyond its best before time. But this is wholesome. It's wholesome because FDA has duly certified it, and then you can go ahead with that. Above all this is the issue of taking responsibility and also taking care of a few greedy people around. Why would we even endanger the lives of students with this? 22,000. You are not talking of a huge warehouse, maybe let's say 3 warehouses, and we've imported this and it's going to go waste. That is understandable. 22,000 bags. Could we have afforded to just get those 22,000 bags for something else rather than giving it to the students? When at the point of distribution, when it gets to the students, the authorities in charge, as in those distributing, have no hand in how it is utilized. If you had a hand in how it's used, like you know that I gave it to this SHS, and I know that by next week the 20 bags we've given them, next week they are cooking it, then you are able to monitor, so you know the effects and every other thing. But once you don't have control of those outcomes, I'm thinking that we should all those involved should have relaxed more. But you see, in this country, everything becomes IE politics. So what is it? The minority is shouting about it, and you expect the majority to come and say that we agree with you. That is where then we obfuscate the whole issue. So we will never get to know the real truth in here unless somebody, something unfortunate happens to somebody who has consumed it, and then we all go running helter-skelter to just go and find solutions when we could have prevented it. This said and done, I think going forward, this has already happened. I think going forward, the processes of procurement and distribution should be monitored very well by the Ministry of Education. You see, sometimes it might be true that even the Ministry of Education didn't get to know this until issues were raised, probably by some of the schools, or as Okujeto is doing it, because, well, they are responsible for the outcomes of our education. Now they have the free SHS and then the food and all those things. Now, who are the people in charge of the national buffer stock? So ordinarily, you are expecting the national buffer stock to be more involved in this, so that in terms of if national buffer stock had a problem, they report to the Ministry of Education. In fact, when they have a problem of not getting access to some of the staple foods they distribute, they go to the ministry. But it's not the ministry coming there to come and check on them. And I think in this very particular instance, I don't think the necessary actions were taken very early to prevent an unnecessary tension, because well, I think once FDA, in my opinion, once FDA has described it or has tested it and says it's wholesome, I'm tempted to go with FDA on that.
All right. We are still talking about the expired rice scandal. So Elvis, what are your thoughts about this, especially for the fact that this has actually caused some outrage in the public space?
Where's the outrage?
Well, if you check,
there's no outrage. It's only minority that is doing politics.
Why do you think it's only minority?
No, I'm saying that the public should be angrier. The public is not angry.
Enough.
We are not angry at all. Is it when food, anything that enters into your mouth, it goes into your bloodstream and can cause so many harm to your body. That is why in any serious country, when we say an institution is properly regulated, it is food.
Okay.
Because when something enters your bloodstream, it's difficult to get it out. And the harm it will cause to your body is unimaginable. That is why in any serious country, in terms of regulation of food, it's top notch. It's top notch because they understand the harm it can cause if it enters into your body. So for us to be giving all this kind of balderdash explanations about this thing, and the public is not angry, it tells us how we are not serious, how we don't even care about life.
We're not even angry enough?
Not at all.
So the ones on social media is not really...
It is not really enough. By now, parents should be asking people to resign at GES, buffer stock, and schools should be closing down. Parents should be withdrawing their children from schools and says, if nothing is done, our children are not going back to school. Because you see, that child will return home, and if as a result of eating that food, that child contracts any sickness, it's the parent that is going to spend so much money trying to get rid of that from the child's bloodstream, if that is possible. If it is not possible, your child may live with that sickness for the rest of his or her life. Okay? And you may even lose that child.
True.
So what we are talking about here, it is not something that it should be Okujeto, a black or minority doing a press conference. It should be a national rage that we should be talking about here. But I don't see any national rage anywhere. Okay. I don't see any national rage anywhere. What we are talking about here, see, it tells you how our institutions are killing all of us. There is no serious country in this world that a food item produced by another country, given expiry date, and the food gets to their country, and they realize that it's expired, and they say we are not taking it to our FDA to test it. The institution will not even allow it in the first place. They will just take it, go and destroy it immediately. Because the reason the producer put a particular date on it, they understand why they put that date on it. Because they are the one who produced the food item. Rice that we see today is no longer the normal rice we know in the past. A lot of chemicals and things are applied in terms of storage, growing it and everything. So they know why by that date, the rice is no longer wholesome for consumption. So for anybody to even be given the explanation that they took it to FDA and the FDA has retested it, that is bullshit to me. Complete bullshit. Okay. We are not talking about a car that I'm going to buy parts to it. We are talking about a food item that enters into your body and can cause so much harm to you. And there's no serious country that will do what we are saying FDA has done. Please, let's be serious for once in this country. What we are doing to ourselves is what is prevalent in so many places. That is why we are suffering a lot of diseases. Why do you think hypertension is on the rise? Why do you think so many things are on the rise? Medical doctors will tell you that all the diseases we are seeing is because of what we eat. Because everything that we eat these days is chemical. If you are eating a cow, it's no longer the normal cow that ate normal grass on its own. It's a cow that has been fed by a particular grass grown by some fertilizer. It's a cow that has been given a certain chemical. It's a cow that has been fed with so many other things. The feed that they give them, they have so many chemicals input. So whether you are eating cow, pork, or anything, it is not the one that you eat 30 years ago that they eat themselves. They know what helps to eat, to be healthy. And then when you eat it, you are healthy. But we have changed that dynamics by determining what we think they should eat for them to be bigger for us to sell and make more money without thinking about the health implications. So if somebody has produced rice in his country, knows what kind of chemicals they use to actually prepare the land, when the rice was growing, they knew what chemical they applied to kill the weeds within it. And when they harvested, they know the chemicals they applied to the rice to preserve it. So they've done everything and realized that no, this rice beyond this date will no longer be wholesome because of all this application of chemicals to it. And that is important to the country. And then the date says the thing has expired. And because somebody is going to lose money
takes it to
then somebody said, "Oh, let's go to FD and retest it." What are you telling me?
That's even if they went to FD.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So this thing should not be countenanced with any explanation at all. If I am in charge, everybody involved should be facing the law by now.
Right.
If I'm in charge, everybody involved in this scandal should be facing the law by now. We are not talking about me buying a home use cow. We are talking about food that you eat that will enter into your body and can kill you, can cause you disease that will destroy your life forever. You will live with that disease forever. What we are talking about is not about ordinary things. For people to be giving all kinds of explanations, somebody has been fined.
Right.
If the fine for what? Is the fine going to resolve the problem if the child gets sick? And if this thing that you are eating today, the child may not be sick today. Maybe after 5 years before the harm that has caused is happening. All the kidney diseases we are seeing and terminal illnesses, where do you think they are coming from? They are all coming from food that we are eating. Right. And so far, we cannot sit down in this country for anybody to be trying to justify
expired rice.
Expired rice. There should not be any justification for that. We should not even entertain any justification. We should just round up all those involved and put them before the law. Under what circumstance do you tell me that an expired good should be tested? If expired chicken comes to the airport, do we take it to FDA for to be tested? Don't we go and destroy them and bury them? So why are you telling me that because it is rice, now why you think it's okay? Do you know the number of chemicals that are in that one rice? And this is how you should see how a country we are not thinking. We are using public money to provide school feeding, and we are not investing that money in growing rice locally to provide jobs for rice farmers. We are rather thinking about a few greedy business people who will import and make profit. That is why we are investing our taxpayers' money. And then we wake up and say there's no job. Why would there be job? When the money that is supposed to empower the rice farmer to say government is going to buy this number of rice to feed Ghanaian children in a year, that money should be given to the Ministry of Agriculture and say, get rice farmers to produce the rice so that they get money into their pocket. Distributors will get some money. Government buy the rice and feed Ghanaians with rice grown in Ghana so that we can improve our economy. No. Some few people will import and make huge profit. So we take our taxpayers' money and give it to few people to import and make huge profit at the expense of everybody. So the rice farming is not less.
Yeah.
It's not somebody, it's not they don't care about. And at the same, people will wake up and there's unemployment. Where do you think employment will come from? Employment only comes from what we do in this country. But if we are taking public money to empower people, few people, to import large quantities of rice to this country and make huge profit from the imports, and we think that this country will move forward, we should stop this kind of jokes. It's unfortunate that we have governments that are not really thinking about how this country should grow economically. But they'll espouse all kinds of policies to tell us that, oh, we want the economy, we are saving the economy. How do you save an economy when you are spending this amount of money to import something that you can easily grow in your own country? Something that you have the capacity to grow. You have the capacity to grow, but you are importing it because some few people will make a lot of money from importing it and use part of it to sponsor political parties doing campaigns. So you leave out tens of thousands of farmers who that money could go to, make their money, earn a living from it, be able to take care of their children, build houses and sleep in it, and say, oh, I'm in Ghana, I'm a farmer, I'm farming rice, but because of government policy of feeding school children, now even any quantity of rice I produce, government is just the off-taker. So I don't even need to worry about market. And therefore, when I'm to rice farming, I know that I can make a living from it. And we don't care about that. And then we sit in this country and then we'll be shouting all kinds of things that this country is going to make it possible. It's going to make it. You will never make it because a country's economy depends on productivity. Import doesn't grow in a country. So if we are taking our taxpayers' money to go and import things, and we sit in this country that we want to change Ghana, we are jokers. And the rice is not the only thing. Every sector of the economy that we are using government money to do things, our main focus is about import. Our main focus is about importing the things, not using the money to make sure that we produce the things in this country. Isn't it a shame that common food, a country like Ghana, in the tropics, common food, we are spending over $3 billion a year to import food. $3 billion. We went to IMF for $3 billion that will be disbursed to us in 3 years. But in a single year, our food import bill is over $3 billion. And then we think that economy will become what it is by magic. We should stop deceiving ourselves.
Anyway, Thank you for your submission. I think this is actually a very, very serious issue, and those in power need to look into this, because earlier I checked the effects of expired rice, and it's not just about abdominal pain, nausea, and vomiting. It even goes to the extent of causing cancer and coma. So this is actually very important. Like he said, it might not show right now, the effects might not show right now on the person's body, but maybe some years to come, and that is how cancer grows. So it's very, very important that this is looked into.
The sad thing is that the leaders who are in charge, none of their kids are experiencing this.
And so none of them are in those schools.
In their mind, the problem is not close to them. But what they've forgotten is that, like he said, once the effect starts, we are going to use taxpayers' money to address some of these things. Dr. Baumia, the Vice President, has announced that from 1st December, those on dialysis will be free.
Yes.
That is government money. Now see, if we are eating...
Now you have to spend money to import the dialysis machines.
We are eating all these things and nobody seems to care. I think those involved, really, they should bow their heads down in shame. Especially the explanation. Look, the explanation is so... like it doesn't add up.
Yes.
Say we went to test, like you said, the thing is expired. It's for a reason that they put that thing on there. I have seen somebody who consumed with this same thing. Secondary school, we were doing this. It will be 3 months before, and he consumed a canned sardine or something. The thing that happened to the guy, he nearly died, and you are wondering, it's just common sardine. And this is not something that was rotten. It's just, I'm saying,
no,
like, the thing is
rotten because it's preserved by a chemical. The reason the fish is being that can, for all that why you think it's not spoiled, is because there's a chemical that is keeping it.
That is it.
And that chemical has elapsed its ability to preserve the thing.
Elvis,
so you may think that it is not smelling.
How?
You think that it is not smelling, so it's okay. But it's not okay. And the can is in... It's metal.
True.
It's metal.
So
so there's some corrosion and things happening. And that is why
they put the date
there and said 3 months before expiry, don't eat it. But so it's not yet expiry. So that one day I will eat it. This is the problem. That's why I said anybody who took the decision that they should even go to FDA to go and test in the first place, all of them should be rounded up.
It should start from that
person. All should be rounded up.
Anyway, let us move
because the thing I write as expired goods.
True.
You know these drinks in papers. Some of them, most of them, they'll tell you when you open it 3 days after opening it's not wholesome.
Even milk.
Go and joke with it.
Yeah, even milk.
Go and joke with it. Let the 3 days pass and then you will see the way you'll be running
and then the thing arrived in the country has expired. And somebody said, let's go to FDA and get somebody to turn the date and say we are doing 1 year expansion.
Right.
Are you the one who produced it? Do you know what is in it? That's why they said it's expired at that point.
Even when it was repackaged, it was not named the same thing. So it was repackaged as something from Ghana rice.